Hey, lovers of literature, here comes your new posture. Do you write or enjoy poems? Okay, then you got a basket full of poems. Apex Anthology is your new house for poetry. Yes, you, fan of poetry. Apex Anthology is a radio platform set to treat poetry in all its forms. On Apex Anthology, this is what we do. We appreciate poems. We recite poems, celebrate poems, and make them great poets. Apex Anthology is every week on APEX1RADIO.
Hello, everyone. This is Radio Jagaran, the voice of New American in Central Ohio. We will be live at 6 p.m. today, the U.S. Eastern Time. Find us on Facebook and online at www.apex1radio.com.
All right, good evening, friends, and namaste. My name is Ravi, and here in the studio, I'm with Sudarshan. Today is 12th January 2020, and the studio time is exactly 6 p.m. Therefore, we are hosting our first program called Radio Jagaran, the voice of New America. The program is broadcasted on every alternative Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. And this program principally aims the Bhutanese-Nepali community of Central Ohio, but also addresses the other New American population as well. And in each episodes, we discuss and we bring to you the latest news and the topics on culture, language, education, tradition, festivals, and many more. Isn't it, Sudarshan?
Yes, Ravi. Hello, everyone. This is Sudarshan with APEX1RADIO. Ravi and I will be hosting Radio Jagaran, as Ravi said, every other Sunday, right at 6 p.m. And we really wanted you to join us. We will be available on APEX1 Radio. And then the way to go to APEX1 Radio is very simple, www.apex1radio.com. Or you can find us on Facebook live during our prime time show. And in this show, as Ravi said, we will be talking about the Nepali community, Bhutanese-Nepali community, and the New American community here in Central Ohio. So the APEX1 Radio will broadcast the news, views, sports, politics, culture, religion, entertainment, and you name it, much more fun. And we will be representing the New American community from Central Ohio to the world. So find us. We will be live tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty much said. But since this program is new to us and this program is new to our listeners as well, so I think it's the right time that we should introduce ourselves to our listeners. So, Sudarshan, do you want to go first or shall I go first?
Sure, please take a lead.
So, yes, my name is Ravi, and initially back in Nepal, I used to be called as Ravi. Then some of my friends, my Indian friends, call me Ravi, and in US, it turned out to be Ravi. So you can
Okay,
call
that's
me.
interesting.
Yeah, you can call me by any name, by Ravi or Ravi or Ravi. I was born and raised in Kathmandu, which is the capital city of Nepal. I did all my preliminary education from the local school in Kathmandu. Then I completed my high school education in 2001. And then I started working as a medical laboratory technician in a city-based hospital in the Department of Blood Bank. Then I worked in that hospital for 4 years before I moved to India. Then in India, I did my bachelor degree in science. I completed my bachelor degree in 2007, then did my master's degree in 2010 and my PhD degree in 2016 from a very renowned institute in Chandigarh, India. And my PhD research was in kidney transplantations. Then after PhD, I worked for 6 to 7 months in the same hospital in the research project, and then I moved to USA in March 2017. So currently, I'm working as a postdoc scientist at Nationwide Children's Hospital of Columbus, Ohio. So that was that was me in a very short. I know most of the listeners might be knowing you as Sudarshan, but still, would you like to introduce yourself for our listeners?
Well, yes, sure. Ravi, what a opportunity to have a scientist as my friend to host this radio. So,
Thank you
so
so much.
hello everyone. Once again, welcome. This is our first show, as Ravi said, and we will be airing every Sunday live, and we will be talking about the Bhutanese-Nepali community. And when it comes to Bhutanese-Nepali community, I am the Bhutanese part, and he is the Nepali part, and together we make Bhutanese-Nepali. So that's the interesting part. But that's just the introduction only. This Bhutanese-Nepali goes way deep than just what I said right now. Anyways, so I will take back to Bhutan. I was born in Bhutan and raised there. I was 10. We left Bhutan because of political persecution, and I went to Nepal as a refugee with my parents, and I spent almost next 8 years in a refugee camp, completed my high school there, and went to India. And as Ravi said, I did my bachelor's in economics, and then I did my master's in English literature, and then moved to United States in 2010. And this is such an interesting time because this is almost going to be my 10th year anniversary in the United States. It's been a while.
And congratulations for that 10 years.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much. So as I said, I am a former refugee, moved to United States in 2010, and we have a large community here in Central Ohio, Bhutanese-Nepali community, which constitute both community members from Nepal as well as Bhutan, and that's why we call it gladly we are Bhutanese-Nepali. Anyways, Ravi, so with that, we have a lot to break down today, and we will be talking about our program definitely.
Uh-huh.
But do you want to add something about Nepal, and then I will go into talking about Bhutan?
I think before listening to about Nepal and Bhutan, let's listen to a very traditional
Oh, sure. Yes.
Nepal
Yeah. Yeah.
music,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? I think that
Yeah.
because this is our first show, and I think we want our listeners to be acquainted to our traditional Nepali music.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Please.
So the listeners, this is Ravi and Sudarshan from Radio Jagaran. So we'll be shortly back. Till then, please listen to our traditional Nepali music. We'll be shortly back. Don't go away. All right.
Welcome back. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. This is Sudarshan with Radio Jagran, and I'm with my friend Ravi, as we introduced to you just a few minutes ago. And we will be discussing about today's program. This is our, as we said, this is our first program ever in the radio. Both of us don't have any radio experience, and we got a chance to work with APEX1RADIO in the last few months, few weeks actually, and whatever knowledge we gain, we are presenting to you. But more importantly, what I think is this is an opportunity to bring new American voice to the world, to bring new American voice to the Central Ohio, to bring Bhutanese-Nepali community to Central Ohio. We have an amazing, almost 25,000 strong community here in Central Ohio, and what a proud movement to start a radio show talking about community, culture, food, fun, festival, and you name it. It will go on and on. Ravi, what do you want to add?
Yeah, absolutely. This is an absolutely a good moment for us. At least we have a media with us, from which we can talk about our community, talk about the different aspects of other community as well, and make our community bring in combinations with the other community as well. So for those listeners who had just tuned in to our radio, my name is Ravi, and I'm with Sudarshan, and you are listening to a new program called Radio Jagaran. So Sudarshan, I think since I represent the country Nepal, then I believe our listeners should know a little bit about the Nepal as well. And I think you would be also talking something about Bhutan, and it would be really interesting for all of us to know about two different countries. So
Two different countries, but similar in so many ways.
yeah, absolutely,
Please.
absolutely. That's
Yeah.
right. Like we have lots of similarities
Yeah.
in different ways. So Nepal is a small country with a total area of around 57,000 square miles. So you know that when I talk about 57,000 square miles, it's a little bit smaller than Illinois. So,
Okay.
so it's a South Asian country surrounded by India in east. You have India in west and south also, and China in north. Nepal is a landlocked country with no direct access to sea and water. So geographically, it lies at the altitude of 11,000 feet from sea level. Topographically, as you also know it, that Nepal has three geographical zones. One is the Himalayan towards the north side, and mountain and plain right towards the south. Due to this topography and due to the sandwich between the two Asian giants, the people of Nepal resembles two different types. One is the the Aryan group in south. So pretty much some of the people, like almost half of the people, or I would say something about 45% of the people would resemble something like towards like Indian people, whereas the others, we have the Tibetan Burman group in north and mixed Russian in the mountainous region. So we have a widespread the pictures, the face. Sometimes you look like an Indian, sometimes you look like a Chinese, or sometimes you like the mixed up, the both. So that's the reason why we have, depending upon this topographical distribution as well, the most of the people follows Hinduism, and there are some other people who follows Tibetan Burmese people just like follows Buddhism, but Nepal is a secular country. Therefore, you can find people believing in Christianity or Islam or Kirat or many other minor religions as such. So, isn't that interesting thing like about Nepal? What do you think, Dai?
Oh, yeah. Nepal, it may be a small country, but the diversity, as you said, the religio-cultural diversity, the ethnic background is an amazing. And sometimes I see Nepal as a fusion of two big civilizations, as you are putting together, right?
Right.
The Indo-Aryan group, or the people generally who belong to Indian side, and then there is another group belonging to the Mongolian side. So, or that is what we call it. It may not be a right word to say it, but more East Asian. So Nepal is a fusion of these two big cultures.
Yeah, absolutely.
And as you said, that we find people from both sides. And amazingly, I think the diversity in Nepal, the cultural, linguistics, and racial diversity in Nepal is so big. I think even United States would not be compared with Nepal when it comes to, right? And the other thing is, with that diversity, with that ethnic and racial background, we always had a peaceful and a quiet nation. So that's an amazing.
Yeah, I think that you really put it in a very nice way about the ethnic diversity. But apart from the ethnic diversity in Nepal as well, but even if we talk about the climate, Nepal experienced about 6 different seasons: spring, summer, rainy, autumn, even pre-winter and winter. So now it is Visit Nepal 2020. So if you are planning to visit Nepal, I think the autumn season, or the month of September, October and November might be the best time. And it is not only due to the climate, but the Nepal's most celebrated festivals also falls in these months. So you know which festival I'm talking about, right?
Right, the Diwali and the sign.
Yeah, absolutely. The Diwali and the
sign.
Yeah.
Okay. So with this short trip to Nepal 2020, please, if you are planning to visit Nepal, this is the right time to go to Nepal. This year, at least 2020.
Yeah.
I will quickly take you to Bhutan. Bhutan is a small country, as Ravi said, and usually it's called the sandwich between China and India. These are two small countries located right next to each other. And altitude, climate, topography, what Ravi said is exactly the way it is in Bhutan. Bhutan and Nepal are divided by a small Indian state called Sikkim. You can think of these are two sister countries living right next to each other, sharing almost so many similarities, right? The Indo-Tibetan culture or the Indian culture and then the people and so on and so forth. Bhutan has some unique position. Bhutan is predominantly a Buddhist nation. Majority of the people in Bhutan are Buddhist. They practice Buddhism, different form of Buddhism, which we can go into it later on. And then a small minority of people living in southern Bhutan follow Hinduism and Buddhism and some tribal animistic religion called Kirat. And I belong from that minority, the southern people practicing, at least my parents were practicing Hinduism, and we were different from the people in the north in terms of history, culture, language, and heritage. But we have been living in Bhutan for over 5 generations. And, before we were kicked out. That's a different story, which we will bring in the coming days. But just introducing Bhutan is a small country now. Bhutan is often talked as the happiest nation, but I'll talk about that, how happy Bhutan is. And if you are planning to visit Bhutan, Bhutan has a very strict visa system. They allow only certain number of people, so plan ahead. But for sure, you can visit Nepal as and when you like.
Yeah.
What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Like visit Nepal, visit Bhutan, visit towards the Asian country as well. Not only that, with Bhutan and Nepal having the similarity in different aspects, I would like to ask you what is the staple diet back in Bhutan? Because why I'm coming to that part, I'll talk to you later.
Oh, sure. Sure, yes. So as Asians, we are default rice eater. Let me put it that way,
yeah.
okay?
I think you got my point.
Yeah. In Bhutan also, the staple food is rice.
Oh, okay. So this is a typical Nepali food or the Bhutanese food, I would say. This is a dal bhat. So it's just the lentils and the rice. So I was asking because since if you are planning to visit towards the Asian countries or towards India or towards Nepal or towards Bhutan, then I think you should be very much knowledgeable about the rice and the lentils. And what about momos?
Okay, momo is something very unique to Nepal. Although momo was originated in Tibet, it's a food very much perfected in Tibet. But from Tibet, as you know, earlier we were introducing the country. Not only people move from Tibet, not only people move from India towards Nepal, we bring the culture, we bring the food, we bring the fun, we bring the music. And one of the food that we imported from Tibet was, actually we exported Buddhism to Tibet and we import momo.
Oh, okay.
And so when momo came to Nepal, we not only changed the shape, size, and the look, but we perfected it as a Nepali food. Now almost in a cinnamon, synonymous to Nepali food, and it's thought about as a Nepali food. But in the Nepali momo is different. It's really a Nepali momo. But I have to give a credit to Tibet for coming up with that amazing food. So when you go to Nepal, do not miss out trying momo.
Yeah, absolutely. In some episodes, we can bring some of the people who are very unique to making momos and having a good recipe for the momos.
Sure.
But to end this session, at least I just need to say the last word is about the greetings. And both in our culture, I think the greeting is a little bit different than what the other people would do. We greet people by saying namaste. It is namaste, and it is a formal greeting at any part of the day in which you join palm to palm and bring your hands close to chest and touch your fingers with your forehead. And namaste in local language means I respect to the divine in you. So namaste to all our listeners.
Namaste, everyone. So as Ravi said, namaste means I respect the divine within you and you respect the divine within me. When we say namaste to each other, it's almost like two enlightened person greeting to each other. So namaste, everyone, and we'll be back.
So yeah, We'll be back in a short while. Till then, listen to this typical Nepali music. right, welcome back after this musical break. For those listeners who have just tuned into our radio, my name is Ravi and I'm with Sudarshan in the studio, and you are listening to this new program called Radio Jagaran, a voice of New America. And today is the first episode of the program, and this program will be aired on every alternative Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can hear us anytime through www.apex1radio.com, and we are also live on Facebook.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Ravi, so
Yeah.
as we were talking about Bhutanese-Nepali, I wanted to ask you one question.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
how are you connected with the Bhutanese community here in Central Ohio?
Well, it's a little bit interesting story. Like when I came to United States in the first, in the 2017, on my first week of U.S. Stay, I came across some families who speak Nepali, wear traditional Nepali dress, and follow Nepali tradition.
Okay.
I was very happy to see them and talk to them in Nepali language. Later on, I realized that the people over here who have the same Nepali traditional dress or Nepali, who speak Nepali, they have a larger community in Columbus, and they are Bhutanese Nepalese refugees. So I later started volunteering at Bhutanese community of Central Ohio, BCCO, which was formerly called Bhutanese Nepali Community of Columbus at BNCC. There I started knowing about this community, and now I'm a part of that community. But the interesting thing is, I might not have disclosed it to anyone, but the thing is, like when I was back in Nepal, through radio or FM or the newspaper, we used to hear about the Bhutanese Nepali refugee and the Bhutanese Nepali refugee camps. But since we were not in the government, we were the local people, it was just like a very normal thing for us. So it most of the time it goes unnoticed to a normal people. And moreover, since the camps were not in Kathmandu, it was in some other parts, and we never came across the people or the Bhutanese Nepali refugee populations. But when I came to United States, then and when I met with them, it felt like, okay, the people over here who are termed to be as a Bhutanese Nepali refugees, they have the similar dress, they have the similar culture, and moreover, they might be following more culture than what exactly the native Nepali would do over here. And then I felt like, okay, let me know about the population. Let me know about what exactly the scenario is. And then when I met you, when I met with the many leaders of the community, then I came to know about different aspects of Bhutanese Nepali refugees, right? And then it became more interesting and more interesting, and then I came to know about the more stories, and that's how today I know about the Bhutanese Nepali community in details.
Okay. We will be talking to you about how I met Ravi and how, as he said, became part of the Bhutanese Nepali community.
Yeah.
But this takes us to a different journey. We didn't came to United States from nowhere, right? We have
Yeah.
a different identity, different culture. As Ravi was saying, you look like Nepali, you eat Nepali food, and you may be following Nepali tradition than more so than the native Nepali people. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, absolutely.
And where these people came from, all right?
Yeah.
I will take you on a journey talking about Bhutanese Nepali community. We are from Bhutan, as I said. Bhutan, we were in southern part of Bhutan for over 5 generations, depending on who you ask. The first 20 family to move to Bhutan was in 1620. So this is almost more than a 10 generation we have been in Bhutan. However, Bhutan came into existence only in 1907, but there was a land called Bhutan, but the modern Bhutan or the present Bhutan came into existence only in 1907. But think about that. My grandfather was born in Bhutan. So he was born in Bhutan before 1907, before the birth of the country. Even if you were in Bhutan for more than 3 generations, you were in Bhutan before the birth of the modern Bhutan. And we were there as agriculturists. We were there as farmers. We moved from Nepal in the late 18th century or mid 18th century to early 19th century, and all the way up to the 20th century also. And my parents must have moved to Bhutan in the late 19th century, because my great grandfather went to Bhutan when he was 10 years old. So that gives some idea when we moved to Bhutan. And we went there because it was a part of the agricultural expansion. This territory wasn't defined as Bhutan at that time, and India was under British rule. And both Bhutan and Nepal were sovereign princely state under the guidance of the quote unquote British India.
Was there a proper defined maps?
There wasn't a proper defined map. And I'll come into that later on, which is interesting to ask, right? Because a map defines a country,
Absolutely.
not the nationality, not the people. This is the side of the politics that we have to talk about, and how a line on the piece of paper determines where you belong. This is very interesting and sometimes painful as well. So in 1947, roughly, a Bhutan got a shape and was never in a piece of paper precisely accepted by the international community. Bhutan may have had the map, but it was only to themselves.
Yeah.
So the map came into existence in 1947 when India got independent, when British was leaving India, when the Britishers were leaving India. They had to draw a map of India, what map would look like, right, after 200 years of rule in India. At that time, the current map of Bhutan came into existence. And by some sort of default, we were on the part of the Bhutan. And then
Got it.
we become a Bhutanese citizen only in 1958. The people in the southern part of Bhutan, or all Bhutanese, were actually given citizenship in only 1958. So by that count, you will understand that Bhutan came into existence actually second time in 1947. Although Bhutan was claiming itself a sovereign nation, Bhutan was a sovereign nation for a long time, but Bhutan didn't have an international existence then. It was a very small country, still part of the newly independent India in some ways. The international diplomacy and policies were taken care by India at that time. Even border security was taken care by India. And that wasn't going so well with the Bhutanese regime. And Bhutan, the third king of Bhutan, Jigme Dorji Wangchuk, registered Bhutan in the United Nations as an independent country in 1971. And only in 1971, Bhutan actually became an independent nation in the eyes of the world. So that was the sort of, you can think Bhutan got it wasn't in an unbirth situation. It was a pregnancy in a piece of in the lap of Himalaya, and the birth of Bhutan actually happened only in 1971 when it was registered to international community. However you want to put it, maybe you can think Bhutan came into existence in 1907 or 1947 or 1972, depending on these three times. But Bhutan actually came to known to the rest of the world as a Bhutan very lately. But
I was just thinking about like how different a history of a country could be, right?
Oh yeah.
When we think about and when we talk about the history of Nepal or Bhutan, they have their own sovereignty and they have their own history, which when we think of, when we read of, or when we hear of, it becomes so interesting. And I think the same interesting story do you have, right?
Yes. And the unique and the common shared history between Nepal and India is both Nepal and India. Sorry, Nepal and Bhutan. My apology. Nepal and Bhutan have been a sovereign nation in the history. There are no records that Bhutan was a colony of some country, XYZ country, just like Nepal. And there are a few countries, Nepal, Bhutan, Thailand, and I guess there are a few more countries which I don't remember right now. But these are the sovereign nation in the history, at least in Asia.
Yeah, sometimes I think we also have to focus on this. We always have to tell our listeners as well, because many times when they hear about countries, small countries like Nepal or Bhutan, in between those bigger, large Asian giants, they think that Nepal or Bhutan is a part of those countries. So it's always we have to tell them, or we have to advocate that no, it's not true. It's the two different countries having their own flag, having their own army, and having their own monetary system, right?
Right. Everything. Yeah, that's just that's a small piece of the picture. But Bhutan and Nepal were sovereign nation for a long time. They had their own independent system. But in a larger geopolitical scenario, you have to depend with a bigger country. You have to agree to a certain extent with a bigger country. And when a bigger country is not, sometimes if bigger country is hostile, then you really have to agree to a greater extent. That is our hate and love with our neighbors. But despite the political situation, despite other realities, Bhutan and Nepal had maintained their sovereignty, maintained who they are for a generation and generation. Yet suddenly the border had moved, maps have been rewritten. Things of that nature had happened all the time. Nepal might have been much, much bigger, maybe 3 times bigger than what it is currently. Bhutan was also almost 2 times, 3 times bigger than what it is currently. But they were able to maintain who they were and who they are still today. Anyway, that's the interesting part of what being Bhutan.
I think we should keep on talking about this sort of interesting in later on days, right?
Yeah.
So
quickly, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so quickly I wanted to add, and we were in the southern part of the Bhutan, and in 1972 when Bhutan finally registered to the United Nations, Bhutan began to consolidate power, and then they see people in the south more as someone, as an outsider, as an immigrant. They began to label us as immigrant. And in 1985, Bhutan started a policy called One Nation, One People.
Oh, yeah.
So the One Nation, One People policy was everybody should follow a same religion, same culture, same costume, same everything. Think about that.
I don't know, like how they come up with that idea, right? Like that's just even on hearing, it seems so insane. Like how could a country could implement all people to have the same religion, to speak the same language, to have the same festivals and everything the same, right?
Right. So that's what happened in Bhutan. It's as crazy as it sounds. And people didn't like it. Nobody would like being taken away their culture, their tradition, their heritage that they have been following for a long time. And people in the south had a very distinct religio-cultural practice, and that goes back to thousands of years, almost 5,000 years. And so do the people in the north. They also have their religio-cultural practice, and that goes back to thousands of years. And, in a common sense, it was a matter of understanding cultural diversity, but the regime in Bhutan became very insecure and began to impose this one nation, one people policy, and which resulted into the ethnic cleansing in the 90s. So in the 90s, more than 100,000 people were kicked out of this small country, which almost 1/6 of the population was kicked out of the Bhutan. And we had nowhere to go because, the regime was against us. Army was mobilized. People were put into jail. And I remember I was just 10 years old one summer in the year 1990. Every single people were put into jail. Every single man, I would say, were put into jail or they flee Bhutan because of the fear of persecution. And villages like mine became sort of a ghost town. There were no men to guard, all women. And we had to go through this horrible situation for almost 2 years inside Bhutan. And, there was no security, no safety. The thug would come and take away whatever they wanted to take away. You are in this insecure place. And India was close enough, but you won't be able to go to Bhutan because go to India because you have to go through this checkpost and places where army would be just safeguarding, and they will not let you go out. And we were trapped deep into the mountains in the villages for 2 years, and somehow we managed to escape Bhutan in 1992, as people were escaping since 1990. and then we end up going to Nepal as a refugee.
Okay.
And it's where,
Yeah, I know. I can understand. I think it is going to be a very interesting story from Sudarshan Dai, because I can understand about how it happens, or how it feels when you have to leave your country without any notice or anything as such. But we'll definitely bring this sort of interesting stories in our upcoming sessions as well. And on the next, but and moreover, the thing is, most of the people doesn't know about this sort of stories. They just know about the outside stories, what the newspaper would tell you, or what the radio would tell you, or how a government wants to put it through, right? And moreover, they wouldn't know about the inside story. And that's how I think we ended up coming to this APEX1 radio.
Correct.
We want the reality to be taken out. We want everything to be transparent and clear, especially how it happened and what's exactly going on in our community, right? And I think we should put those things in our upcoming sessions.
Definitely.
And that's how we came up with the APEX1 radio. We have lots of sessions coming on, and we have lots of programs. We have lots of program titles or the program descriptions. So before telling our listeners about the different program descriptions or the program titles and the upcoming programs, we want to take a short little musical break, and we want our listeners to listen very nice, interesting Nepali music, and this is what the Nepali music seems to be like. Just stay tuned in and listen to the Nepali music. We'll be back shortly. once again, welcome back after this short musical break. For those who are listening to this program and who had just tuned in to our radio, my name is Ravi and I'm with Sudarshan. And you are listening to a new program called Radio Jagaran, the voice of New America. And today is our first episode, and the program will be broadcasted on every alternative Sunday from 6 p.m. to 7 p.m. You can hear us anytime through www.apex1radio.com, and we are also live on Facebook. So Sudarshan, before going to our musical break, we said that we came up with this new idea of APEX1 Radio. So what do you think, like what are the upcoming programs would be? Could you just give a brief introduction or the brief description about our upcoming programs?
Oh, sure, yes. So as you said, we came up with this idea to talk about our community and the New American community, right?
Right, absolutely.
As we said, Radio Jagaran through APEX1 Radio is a voice of New American community in Central Ohio to the world.
That's our slogan, yes, voice of New Americans. Right?
Yes, voice of New American to the world.
Yeah.
So please tune in. This is not only Bhutanese-Nepali program, this is a New American program actually.
Yeah,
but we wanted to,
absolutely.
we started this with a Bhutanese-Nepali experience. We would be sharing Bhutanese-Nepali experience, but in the days to come, we will be talking about larger communities for sure. So tune in.
Yeah, I think that was the main idea, right? Like to have an amalgamation of like Bhutanese-Nepalese community with the larger community and with the other communities as well.
Right.
Yeah.
In the days to come. So however our program may go, we may be talking about different communities, but one thing will remain as it is. The theme of the program is we will be talking about community, about culture, food, religion, politics, sports, entertainment, and you name it. Because this makes each community has very unique way of celebrating who they are. Each community has their unique way of practicing a religion or cooking food or you name it. That is how every community is unique, and they have their own unique identity and unique culture that needs to be recognized. And APEX1 is one of those, the only radio I would say that has this idea to support communities, to bring community voices and empower communities. So the idea behind APEX1 Radio is to empower communities, give them a platform, let them talk about their community, let them talk about their food, their culture, sports, entertainment, politics, and all those things, right? Year 2020 is very important to us. We are new Americans. We are becoming citizens. We want to exercise our citizenship right.
Right.
And in this amazing election year cycle, we would be talking about the politics. We will be talking about the candidates that would represent the New American community. And I just wanted to update a few things, right? Yesterday we had the community town hall at the Bhutanese Community Center organized by APEX1 Radio and Jagaran. As we said, we are part of the Jagaran. Jagaran is a Nepali newspaper, and it looks like this. Please, if you haven't subscribed and if you are Nepali speaking, please subscribe to Jagaran.
Maybe we can just want to give them a full view, right?
Full view. This is, and then this is the only Nepali newspaper published in Central Ohio, and perhaps there are only few Nepali newsletter published in the United States, and we are part of the Jagaran, we were reaching out to larger community. We were reaching out to our own community, educating them. There are many issues. We moved from third world country, as they put it. I don't like that word, but they call it third world countries, right? And we came to United States. Now there is a transition. There is a cultural transition. There is a transition in language. You have been adapted to one culture, one system, and then all of a sudden you have to go to a new culture, new system, which is sophisticated, which is complex. But as an anthropologist, I would say, not an anthropologist, but I'm an anthropology student. I really have to recognize the fact that every culture is complex, no matter where you are. The culture in Newark is as complex as a culture in Amazon. The culture in Delhi is as complex as a culture in a remote village in Nepal. So culture has its own meaning. We have to respect culture. these complex cultures were coming together. We were coming from a different cultural view. We were coming from different cultural ideas and philosophies to a different culture, which is amazing in itself. But the transition becomes difficult, especially if you don't have a formal education, if you are not exposed to education system, and that becomes challenging because you have to speak the language. And that is the challenge that we are trying to help our community member. How do we navigate that challenge? Absolutely. How do you navigate that challenge? If you have that challenge, please come to us. We not only have a community center right here in the middle of Central Ohio, but also we run a newspaper to educate our community folks.
Yeah, I think
sometimes
what I feel is when other people can't imagine it, but when just imagine that you do not know the language that all the people speaks over here. I'm talking about the English language. Right? There are some people, like most of the elder people in our community, who do not understand even the ABC of English. And how difficult it would be for those people to sustain in the communities, so as to
be able to assimilate, to be able to integrate into the larger community, right?
To able to communicate with the other peoples. So they always tends to be on their own side.
Oh yeah.
So that's the reason why we tried to publish this paper. We came to APEX1RADIO so that we can bring those people out of their comfort zone and then get assimilated to the others community as
Let's
well.
say it integrated to other communities.
Integrated, I would say that
would be a right word for us. Integration is a bigger part of what we wanted to do. And you can think this as an assimilation, you can think this as an integration, but integration is more meaningful.
More meaningful, yes.
More
absolutely.
meaningful, meaning you become part of the larger community,
absolutely.
Preserving your own language, your own culture, your own heritage, and preserving who you are, and you still become part of the larger community, the American community. And definitely the language, linguistic barrier that the new American community face. It is whether it's a Bhutanese, whether it's a Somali.
Yeah,
whether
I'm talking about all the other communities who comes from their native countries. It's really difficult for them. Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's the challenge. So we will be talking about all those issues. We will be bringing experts. We'll be bringing educated folks in different areas of life, and we'll interview them. We'll talk to them. We'll share their expertise. Community need to know us. We need to know the community. It is a two-way traffic, and we will try to build that two-way traffic through APEX1RADIO. And we are really, really grateful to have this opportunity to be able to reach out to our larger community and to be able to reach out to our brothers and sisters in Central Ohio and let them know, hey, who we are as New American, who we are as Bhutanese, maybe Somali, maybe Burmese, maybe Iraqi. But after all, we accepted this country as our home. We accepted America as our country, and I think we are as much American as anyone could be. And we want to talk about this new America, this emerging America. Yes, Ravi.
Yeah, absolutely. So we are in future we will be bringing up to the different issues that of what our community face and what are the different things that can be done. In the studio, it's already been 6:55. We have already passed about 55 minutes for our Radio Jagaran, so we have just 5 minutes left. So towards the ending, what just a simple things that what we want our listeners to know about is what are our target populations they.
So this program will be divided into two sections. One is called as I said, as we discussed today, right? The Radio Jagaran, and then the other program will be the Voice of New American. And the Voice of New American will be dominantly in English. And Radio Jagaran will be both in English and Nepali as well, because we have to reach out to the Nepali audiences too, the community folks who cannot, as we are talking about, they don't understand English, and we are talking about language barrier, and we are again speaking in English.
Yeah.
So this is ironic. So we will be reaching out to them in Nepali as well. So this program will be divided into 2 sections. So
yeah, we thought like we would be running 2 programs today, also one in English and one in Nepali, but somehow we were not been able to bring out the guest for the Nepali programs. But I think we will do that Nepali programs on our upcoming sessions.
Sure,
right?
sure. And with that, we wanted to conclude today's program, and maybe there will be one music for you. And what I wanted to say is Radio Jagaran is the voice of New American from Central Ohio to the world.
Right.
You can join us anytime, anywhere at www.apex1radio.com.
Right.
We bring you the latest news, updates, interviews, entertainment, all in one program by Jagaran Radio at APEX1RADIO. Do not forget to tune in or go online at apex1radio.com. Also, we are live on Facebook on our primetime shows every Sunday. Every Sunday, 6 to 7 p.m. But we are saying alternative Sunday, but we will make it every Sunday.
Yeah, we'll try to make
announce,
it on the alternative Sunday. Every Sunday.
So if you are from other part of the world, we will be airing this at 6 to 7 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. So, to you, it could be a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, or a good day, any part of the time. But here in Central Ohio, it will be an evening, fantastic evening. And we are almost close to our program today.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening. And what do you want to add, Ravi?
I just want to add, without our audience letting us know how the program goes, it would be not good for us. So at least whoever has tuned into this program or whoever has been listening to this program, please give us your feedback so that we can improve every other time.
Oh, yeah, that is very important. We are, we are welcoming your feedback. We are eager to listen to you, what you wanted to see, how this program should be produced. And then we'll take your feedback rightfully and we'll produce the program that you like to listen, that you like to hear. In the coming episode. So do not forget to give us a like. Do not forget to like our channel, APEX1RADIO, the Columbus Connection, as well as Jagaran America, and give us a feedback. We are new, but we want to represent you.
We are new, but we want to represent you. What a lyrical thing!
Right.
So with that said, I think we should turn off for today. We should say sign off for today. But stay tuned in to APEX1 Radio and listen to Radio Jagaran. We'll be back on upcoming next to next Sunday. Hope so. We'll bring out something very new, interesting. Till then, have a good night.
Have a good night.
And namaste. And we'll be leaving the studio with this beautiful song.
Namaste, everyone.
Yeah.
Solid Rock Entertainment. Feel the magic.
Feeling all your blessings on me, your healing on me, your power on me. Feeling all your blessings on me, your healing on me.